nobody wants this video except for me and my older sister, but that's good enough for me. That is more than enough for me. So I know that this is kind of an odd niche video, but I grew up watching the Brady Bunch and I really enjoyed the show growing up, but then when you look back at it, you realize it's not nearly as good as a lot of people thought that it was. The Brady Bunch fell into like a weird niche of starting every season with a somewhat culturally insensitive like vacation episode. Season 3 began with the Brady Braves special, wherein they went to the Grand Canyon, Bobby and Cindy get lost, then hide hot dogs in a empty flashlight for a little Native American boy. They convince him to stand up to his grandfather about his dreams of being an astronaut, and then they all become honorary Native Americans. Not offensive whatsoever. The Hawaii Saga was the opening of season 4. It was 3 episodes, and it was very special because it introduced the concept of curses and ancestral magic into the Brady Bunch universe, which is something that we never see or hear again, but we know that it does exist. So first of all, right off the bat, watching the Brady Bunch, I just want to know how fucking awkward it must have been to be filming the introduction where they're all just sitting there like just staring into the void, pretending to be smiling at their loving family members. It must have been so awful. Brady comes home with a box, and it's that classic 1960s shop box that the Brady Bunch loved. I swear to God, they showed this box or this style of box in every episode. He comes home with the box and a classic, "Honey, I'm home," and all anybody cares about is this fucking box.
Hi, sweetheart.
Hi, honey.
Oh, what is it?
Gosh, don't I even get a kiss first?
Okay. Now what's in the box? Hi, Dad.
Hi.
What's in the box?
So Mr. Brady makes a joke about Peter's box curiosity running in the family because Carol is also just interested in this box. This is a very classic joke that the Brady Bunch makes, always ignoring the fact that the one making the joke is usually the step-parent of whatever child they're claiming to pass a talent or quirk on to. So Mr. Brady tells Peter to go get the other kids because he has a surprise. Peter just yells up the stairs and Mr. Brady goes, "Come on, man, I could have done that."
So Peter, why don't you go get the rest of the kids, because I have a surprise here for everybody.
Okay.
Yeah.
Greg, Marcia, Jan, Bobby, Cindy!
I said, go get them. I know how to yell.
This was a joke that I thought was so funny as a kid. So they all come clambering down the stairs, and it's very accurate for how a group of 6 children would be when they hear the word surprise, but it's an absolute audio nightmare.
Is it okay with something good or something?
You haven't done anything good yet. I'm still like
that for all of it?
I like to imagine one of them just saying the craziest shit ever because they know nobody's gonna hear it or pick up on it. I hate this fucking show. I never should have taken this gig. My talents are being wasted here. I'm wasting the prime of my youth. Mr. Brady's hint about what the surprise is just that it has to do with water, and they have the funniest reactions ever.
Water in the box? Water?
Mr. Brady is an architect, and he is going to be checking on one of his sites, one of his construction sites. The Bradys are going to Hawaii and peaking the audio.
We're going to Hawaii! Come on! Alice, we'll tell you later! Just yell!
There's B-roll of them doing their silly plane banter, which was clearly just filmed in a studio.
Honolulu, here we are!
They all get laid and kissed. Greg is trying to fuck a Hawaiian girl, only to get cock-blocked by his father.
That's enough.
Meanwhile, Alice is soaking up the flowers and soaking up the lady love. I've never actually climbed off a plane onto the tarmac. Do people actually do this, or is this just like a trope for TV? A nice construction employee who offers to pick them up for Mr. Brady's boss, named David, offers to take them sightseeing. He tells them about the different locations, and they all gawk at his native language like it is the craziest thing that they've ever heard. Some somebody not speaking English.
What?
Pu'u o alaka'a.
What?
And then Mrs. Brady grabs his cheeks, which is very inappropriate for an employee of your husband that you just met. I don't know why she does this, but she just grabs his cheeks, and I don't understand why.
He was the first island chief to get all the islands under one rule, so he was our first king.
I bet I know why he was king. Why? Look how big he was.
David actually just explained why, Cindy, and that was not the reason at all. David then asks them to say belly button while taking this photo.
Say belly button.
Belly button.
Keep your fetishes out of here, man. They go to Pearl Harbor and are all pointing things out, again in audio recorded in a studio, and we don't actually get to see what it is they're pointing out. When we're finally actually in the boat with them, David is happily pointing out nuclear submarines and military-grade weaponry that was used to kill civilians during the war.
See over there? Those are nuclear submarines being serviced.
We get some nice war propaganda on the USS Arizona about the eternal victory and all that jazz. We do get a nice memorial for all of the people who lost their lives in Pearl Harbor, but it's very heavy for 10 minutes into a fun vacation sitcom episode.
Dedicated to the eternal memory of our gallant shipmates in the USS Arizona, who gave their lives in action 7 December 1941.
David tells them about the legend of the Shark Queen and how Native Americans warned the American construction workers and military that if they built on the ground of Pearl Harbor, great evil would happen.
Way back when they first started to build all this, an old island chief warned them against it. The islanders believed that this was the home of the Shark Queen god. The chief told them that this place was taboo, and if they built here, evil things would happen. When they finished building the first dry dock, it collapsed and sank into the sea. No one could ever explain how it happened.
Wow, then what?
They're warned again, they ignore it and they keep building.
Did they listen to him this time?
Nope. Nothing happened.
Nothing bad happens and they think they got off scot-free.
Until the attack in 1941.
Mr. Brady instantly shuts down this cultural folklore, and David, eager to please, throws his elders under the bus and makes it clear that he does not believe this.
Well, I hardly think that has anything to do with a taboo, kids.
Well, neither do I, Mr. Brady, but, you know, some of these old islanders are pretty superstitious.
Hard cut to a little tiki laying in the ground at the construction site. The man who digs it up is warned by an older Hawaiian man not to touch it because it's a taboo, which will bring great evil to all those who do, and is once again immediately snubbed by the younger generation.
No! Do not touch.
Why not?
Taboo. Taboo idol. Very strong. Bring evil to all who touch.
Oh, come on, brother. That's just an old island superstition. Okay, old man. So we get rid of it. You satisfied now?
Someday you learn respect.
Very much does need to learn respect, because even if you don't believe in the folklore of all of that, that is clearly a very ancient, sacred, cultural icon that you just dug up on your construction site and carelessly tossed aside. Shouldn't you be like, I don't know, calling a museum and letting them know that you found this here? Greg tries to get David to take him to get piped down by some girls on the Hawaiian beach and is told about a surfing contest that's taking place.
Say, Dave, maybe you and I get together a little later and check out some of the more important sites, like bikinis.
Hey, right on. Hey, come on down to the beach tomorrow. You can look while I judge a surfing contest for some of my buddies.
Hey, you know, I do some surfing. You suppose I can get in the contest?
You're in. But you gotta watch out. We got some pretty big surf over here, and you gotta keep your eyes on the waves, not the bikinis.
This will be important later. Bobby finds the totem at the construction site and Peter calls it ugly.
Hey! Look what I found! It's real old. He sure is ugly.
Bobby says he's going to wear it around his neck for good luck, and no one thinks to tell him that he probably shouldn't steal and drill a hole through an ancient artifact.
What I'm gonna do? I'm gonna put a string on it and wear him around my neck for good luck.
We cut to Bobby and Cindy messing around with Bobby's new ukulele, and he absolutely sucks ass at it.
Does that sound right to you? If you're trying to make a terrible sound, it sounds right.
Two Hawaiian men creepily walk over and take Bobby's ukulele.
Hi there.
Hi.
You're having a little trouble with that, aren't you?
But luckily, they don't want to molest children. They just want to make music.
Can you sing something for us?
Sure. Sam, lend me your tonsil.
Sure.
Whoever you may be.
It's weirdly long, and I still don't trust any men who saunter over to children and serenade them about kissing and love, especially while his knee is touching Cindy's, who's like 10. Turns out it's Don Ho, famous musician. So Bobby credits meeting him to his good luck charm, and then immediately crushes his ukulele. Back in the hotel room, Greg throws a pillow at his younger brother Bobby, and a wall hanging almost crushes him.
That almost hit you on your head. You could have been hurt. I know. It's a good thing I had my good luck charm with me.
Bobby really digs his heels into his cultural insensitivity by mocking his sisters for wanting to learn the art of luau from a Hawaiian woman. But oh no, he dropped his totem in the hotel room. The girls come out in their grass skirts and Alex picks it up for him, so it's alright. The hula girl is not given speaking privilege the way that David is. She just does the dance and then gives no direction while the rest of them just awkwardly copy what she's doing. And it's really weird and like too long and hard to watch. And then, because Alice has now touched the totem, her back locks up.
I'm getting it! I got it. My who went one way and my la went the other.
My who went one way and my la went the other. Very Edna Garrett coded, as my sister pointed out, which is another very niche 1980s sitcom reference that most people probably won't get. So this surfing contest is less of a surfing contest and more of a scrimmage. It's really just David's friends surfing while David stands there with a clipboard and tries to look official. David tells Greg to stop being such a fucking horn dog and to focus on the waves, because the waves in Hawaii are probably more intense than in California.
After the contest, the bikinis?
Listen, Mahalini, you just pay attention to the waves.
Greg then says, "I'll try, but it's hard, brother."
I'll try, but it's hard, brother.
Disgusting. Awful. Greg's been hitting a little too much of the devil's lettuce in his free time.
What was all that stuff about the bikinis?
You'll learn. Boy, will you learn.
So Bobby gives his totem to Greg for good luck, and it doesn't seem to be going very well because he's already way behind the other surfers who have already began wading out to sea. Greg stands up on a dying wave, only to be in the middle of a big one. What luck. Totem on his back like SpongeBob and Patrick clinging to the back of David Hasselhoff, he takes to the waves again. Just like the singing and the hula scene, the surfing montage is like a little too long, I'm not gonna lie. But he's kind of fucking crushing it, dude. Then Bobby has to fuck it up by reminding the totem that it's supposed to be summoning great evil, and we get a hard cut to the totem around Greg's neck.
Wow, Greg's really doing great. Naturally. He has my good luck charm.
He crashes hard and doesn't resurface. Greg just fucking died. No. Mr. Brady's voice drops 5 octaves while he calls out to Greg, and then runs to save him while everyone else just stands there uselessly. Greg finally resurfaces and we watch him get absolutely yoked by the waves and choke and paddle around uselessly. Roll credits. Mike and Carol drag Greg to shore and everyone starts yelling at him like he didn't just crack his head open and almost die.
Greg, what happened? Are you alright? You alright?
The back of his neck is skinned.
If his neck's all skin.
He cracked his head open and almost drowned, but he still is kind enough to apologize to Bobby for losing his tiki.
Hey, Bobby, I'm afraid I lost your little tiki statue.
Bobby once again convolutes this horrific close call to be a sign of good luck, because it's lucky that he didn't fucking die. He just got a concussion.
Well, it's a good thing you had it. You could have been drowned.
Brady say they're gonna have the hotel doctor look at him, and I don't think that's a thing. Is that a thing? I've never been to a hotel that had its own doctor on site. Greg then tries to wander back into the sea, thinking that that's where the car is parked.
Yeah, Dad, I can make back to the car okay.
Greg, sweetheart, the car's this way, okay?
I don't think he needs a hotel doctor. I think he needs a fucking ER. The girls stay behind to pack up, and Jan finds the tiki. What luck.
Oh, what luck.
Hey, I just said that. Mike complains about how man go to work, wife go to picnic. Carol absolutely roasts him by saying, "Aw, don't worry, someday there will be men's lib." But the good news is, Greg is feeling a lot better, and he and the boys want to stay behind and gawk at more women.
If you don't mind, we guys would rather stay here and knock around the beach for a while.
You mean you don't want to go to the picnic?
On the beach with all those girls? That's my kind of picnic.
Can they give Greg anything to do except be a horn dog with a concussion? Doesn't he live in California? At least well enough to, know how to surf? Why is he so awestruck by women in swimsuits? He has to go to the beach routinely. You can see boobs on a California beach, Greg. You don't have to go overseas. Apparently the doctor says the bump on the head didn't really hurt him, but I really beg to differ given the fucking display we just saw. I like that Alice dresses like a little lesbian time and time again. Sam the butcher is actually a butch lesbian. Greg is alone on the beach, gawking at women, just blatantly staring at women. And he sets his sights on a white blonde girl who looks just like his little sister, pigtails and all. He then claims to be a native Hawaiian so that he can perv on this woman. Yikes.
Just over from the mainland?
Yeah. You too?
Well, no. I guess you'd have to call me an old island hand.
Really?
Yeah. But say, the sun here is really strong. I think you better use plenty of that suntan lotion.
Thanks.
Just a little island know-how. Let me help you with your back.
Bobby and Peter run over and they sit uncomfortably close to this girl and start rubbing sunscreen on her. Greg cannot stop being cock-blocked by his family.
What you doing?
I thought you guys went to go look for your statue.
We did. We couldn't find it.
Well, maybe you missed it.
No way. It's not there.
Like I said, I'm helping Mandy with some suntan lotion.
That's okay. I'll give you a hand. Well, I'll give you a hand.
Wow. This is what I call real island hospitality.
With the girls, Alice makes a joke about the smog in their hometown.
Oh, yeah, isn't it nice to look up there and see all that blue stuff?
You mean the sky?
Yeah, back home, all that blue stuff is behind all that brown stuff.
What a giggle fest. And a big tarantula crawls into Jan's bag.
Hey, kid, get!
So I don't know what the fuck these girls were doing with their snorkeling gear and a volleyball, just crawling around on their knees in the shallowest water you've ever seen. This is not how snorkeling is supposed to be. We get some spooky jump cuts of the spider just chilling in Jan's bag where she repeatedly, narrowly avoids touching him and just full on grabbing him.
Oh, here.
He just wants to be a pet. He just wants to hang out. He's chill. Free my man. He did nothing wrong. The boys are back with David, and finally, somebody points out to them that this thing might not be the good luck that they think it is. But it's not David actually telling them much about the cultural history. It's him flippantly telling them that it's a taboo, and then once again making sure that they know he doesn't believe in this stuff.
Here, Bobby.
Hey, the tiki.
Where'd you find it? On the beach yesterday. I forgot to give it to you. Thanks, Jan. You're welcome. See you later.
Okay.
Bye.
It's taboo.
Taboo?
Yeah, it's supposed to make all kinds of terrible things happen to you.
Like my wipeout yesterday.
Yeah. Oh, it's just an old island superstition. I don't believe in that taboo stuff.
Guys, I promise I don't believe in it. Guys, please. Please, you have to believe me. You don't believe in the taboo. Back at the hotel, the spider finally makes its grand appearance, slowly sauntering into the boys' bedroom. It's drawn to the taboo like a moth to a flame. Peter continually insults the statue while Bobby goes through the emotional turmoil of realizing that he brought a horrific ancient curse into his family.
Do you think what David said is true?
How can a dumb old piece of wood give you bad luck? Unless it hits you in the head.
When Bobby says he might not want this thing anymore, actually, Peter says that that's dumb and that he's gonna take it if he doesn't want it, then declares to the world,
Bad luck? Come and get me.
And it does come and get him. He goes to bed and almost immediately the tarantula crawls onto his hand, and he ignores the tickling sensation until the thing is right smack dab on his chest, staring him in the eye. Then makes the strangest whimpering noise I've ever heard in my life.
Oh, come on, Pete, knock it off.
He's crying, and he's paralyzed, and he's horrified, and he's squeaking out pleas for help from his brother. His pajamas even look like a hospital gown, and it's just such a sad, strange display of this boy begging for help.
Try not to flinch. It's okay now. How do you think he's still alive?
Yeah, obviously. You flicked it. I am glad that Mike takes him outside and doesn't just kill him. That was good. I appreciated that. I don't know why the Bradys insist on sightseeing separately and not as a group. I was never allowed to just split off from my family when I went on vacation. Mind you, I was a child and I didn't have a cool teenage older brother like Greg to show me around and show me how to smoke weed. But I still think it's just a little odd that they refuse to do any activities together. The only time I saw them all together on the screen was when Greg was about to fucking die in the ocean.
Well, the old islanders say they were made long ago, when the great war canoes of Kamehameha were dragged up the mountains from the beaches.
Sounds kind of wild.
Yeah. Well, I told you before, this whole island is full of those foolish old stories and superstitions.
David is starting to get on my fucking nerves. Yeah, this whole island's full of stupid fucking superstitions that I don't believe in. I promise you I don't believe in them, guys. He seems to be appalled that the boys seem to actually be kind of believing in his own culture. Internalized prejudice runs deep within David, and it's honestly really sad to watch. He tells them that old Mr. Hanalei at the construction site might be able to help them, and then draws them a map in the sand, when he really could just say he works at your dad's construction site. They've been there before. It's where they found the thing.
Taboo, very old, very evil. Bad things come to those who touch.
If this isn't this guy's real manner of speaking, then the writers were fucked up for this. As they were for much of the episode. Old Mr. Hanalei tells them that the curse will continue to follow them unless they go to the grave of the ancient kings to return the taboo.
Evil come to those who touch. It will always come, my children, until idol is put back.
Do you know where this burial ground is?
When I was a little boy, my grandfather tell me the way. He tell me never go there. I never go.
Why did his grandfather tell him how to get to the ancient burial site if he's so insistent that he should never go there? Don't ever go there or you will die. But here's a little map I drew for you. Mike and Carol tell the boys that they're just being superstitious, which I guess I can understand. But then Mike tells them to bring it home, show their friends, and get a kick out of it.
Take it home and show it to your friends. I'll get a kick out of it.
Okay.
How about at least give it to a museum? Is it not fucking illegal to bring home ancient artifacts? I'm glad the boys have learned their lesson, but now they're going to bring their bad luck with them into a cave. At the very least, the girls know where they're going, so that if they fucking die, somebody might be able to find their bodies. The forest gives H2O vibes, and they start a popcorn trail, but only after they've already gone deep into the woods. Like, if nobody finds this trail, you're fucked. Once they follow the popcorn back out, they're still in the middle of the woods. I don't know how they're gonna get back. Mrs. Brady is starting to worry. Mike just doesn't care, which is odd because technically these are his kids. Like, yeah, she's basically adopted them, but like, they're your children. Why do you not care that the sun is going down and they're gone? The boys do the white person thing and they wander into a cave with no equipment or preparation. But who's this spooky old man who follows them in?
Why don't we just leave the idol here with a note?
Yeah, and we could put on it, please return to First King.
There's gotta be somebody here.
Who's gotta be here, Greg? This is an ancient, untouched burial site. Nobody has to be there. But the spooky old man is there, and he follows them in. They're trapped. The boys venture into the cave, and luckily there are conveniently lit torches. The old man lurks behind them and talks to himself way too loudly for somebody who's trying to remain unseen in a silent cave.
That's it. Scare them out of here.
That wasn't my imagination. My imagination doesn't creak.
Okay, so something creaked.
What could creak in here?
Dead bones could creak.
I don't think they could unless you're stepping on them yourself. Bones don't just move. They're kind of dead. That's sort of their predominant feature. Mike comes back and says that the bus driver remembers the boys getting off, but he doesn't remember where. I think he definitely does, considering that they made a point of saying that he looked at them like they were insane for getting off where they did. The bus driver is like, look, at this point, your sons are fucked. They're dead, and I'm not getting involved. Count your losses and take your 3 remaining kids back to California. Alice and Mike convince Carol not to call the police because there's not much that they can say besides they're a little late, which I guess is true, but if you have like a plausible reason to be really concerned about your children, you have no idea where they are, you're in a different state, I think it's pretty reasonable to call the police. In the cave, the boys reach a dead end, and it's here that I realized how weirdly Greg's shirt is sitting on his shoulders.
Fashion, baby, work it, move that bitch crazy.
It's not like a popped collar, it's just like up. Like his shirt is like up like this. Very odd reduction of drip points for this normally very swagged out boy. The crazy old man runs away and discusses his carelessness with his pet artifact Oliver, which is an extremely odd name for an ancient Hawaiian artifact, but, you know, he's clearly insane.
Oliver, how could I have been so careless? I should have covered the entrance to the cave better. Those children are going to ruin everything. I've got to get rid of them.
He then hides behind Oliver when the boys come over. Way to throw your pet under the bus, you freak. Greg bullies Peter and Bobby for being scared, and they're adamant that they're not, immediately wavers when he tries to walk away for a split second.
You're both just scared. Why don't you admit it?
I'm not scared.
I'm not scared.
Okay, you stay here while I go look down there.
I'm scared.
We admit it.
The old man comes out from behind Oliver and then tells him it's time for him to finish the job.
Did you hear that, Oliver? I really did frighten them.
The girls are debating the ethics of telling their parents where Greg, Bobby, and Peter went. Cindy and Jan want to tell them because they're worried that the boys may be in real serious danger, but Marcia isn't a fucking rat, okay? The old man starts moaning and groaning to try and scare the boys away, and Greg manages to keep a level head long enough to call out the clearly unparanormal person behind all of these shenanigans.
Don't panic. All right, we know someone's in here, so come out, whoever you are.
The old man slowly lifts his way out of another artifact, dressed fully in cultural wear, just making a spectacle of himself, really mocking the traditions and clothing of this traditional indigenous culture. There's a real vehement lack of respect for Hawaiian culture in this episode, and despite the fact that you can clearly see his normal civilian clothes beneath all of the cultural wear, the boys freak the fuck out and start running in the wrong direction.
Darn it, they went the wrong way. All right. I tried to frighten you, but you wouldn't go. Now come on out. I've got you trapped.
The girls get scolded for not telling their parents about the boys going to the cave sooner rather than later, and they tell them that old Mr. Hanalei will probably be able to point them in the direction of their missing children. Back at the cave, the boys have been tied to tikis while this old man paces around and says the weirdest shit that you've ever heard in your entire life.
Well, this is definitely a fly in the ointment, Oliver. A sticky wicket. What are we going to do with these boys, Oliver?
Apparently this man is the only one who knew about this burial site until Greg, Peter, and Bobby stumbled upon it. But we see that this is clearly not true because Mr. Hanalei and his grandfather at the very least know about it, and I would assume that a lot of other people do. The bus driver at least has a passive knowledge that there's something spooky going on along his route. Bobby tells him about the idol in Greg's pocket.
Honest, we came to the burial ground to bring back the little idol.
Idol? What idol?
In Greg's pocket.
Which one is Greg?
The big one.
The old man accuses them of finding a find that he didn't find and trying to steal the tiki from the cave, and literally refuses to believe the boys when they tell him that they found it back in Honolulu.
Oh, you naughty, naughty boys. You didn't bring this here. You found it while you've been here in this cave.
No, we didn't. We found that back in Honolulu.
Don't lie to me. You found a find that I didn't find.
Honest, mister, we didn't find a found that you didn't find.
It's very intense, and this man is hunched over like a gargoyle 24/7, and these kids are going to need intensive therapy when this is all over. The boys are now sitting, still tied up, while the old man eats beans from a ceramic plate. Where he washes his dishes, I don't know. And we discover that he's Professor Hubert Whitehead, Professor of Archaeology.
Not Mr. Professor. Professor Hubert Whitehead.
You're a professor?
Professor of Archaeology.
Archaeology. That's about digging up ruins, isn't it?
Ruins and bones and mummies. Other fun things.
He laments his lack of fame for his discoveries. Apparently he and his partner, many years ago while digging along the Nile, decided to go separate ways in their search, and his partner found the tomb they were looking for, while he got lost and got no recognition for being part of the expedition whatsoever. I'm failing to see how this led to him kidnapping 3 children, but okay. He says he's turned his back on the academic world and museums and is actually just going to steal these things and sell them for profit. He says it's proper compensation for grave injustices, which is a gross bastardization of what reparations actually are. Hubert is going to steal from an indigenous culture to right the grave injustices he met by his presumably white partner while working with another indigenous culture. Seems like misplaced anger here.
You're somebody's children, aren't you?
Yep.
And we'd like to keep it that way.
Precisely why you're going to tell me where you found that idol. Now you think about it, while I go reheat my beans.
He has a microwave plugged into Oliver. It really makes dinners easier when you're spending all your time terrorizing children. Mike and Carol have arrived and ventured into the forest. Meanwhile, Greg has gotten him and his brothers untied, only to be accosted at spear tip as soon as they round the corner.
Thought you could get away from the old professor, didn't you? Didn't you?
The professor threatens to leave them for dead while he takes what he can and runs. Greg tells him that his beans are burning, which is enough to divert this man off of his murderous rampage and scurry off to go make sure that they're okay.
I have something to tell you, Professor.
What?
Your beans are burning.
Oh, good heavens.
Greg says he's gonna stall for time by lying and trying to lead the professor to where they found the tiki and the cave, because by now his blabbermouth sisters will have definitely spilled the beans about where they went. Speaking of, I hope the professor's beans are okay. The parents find the popcorn trail and Carol goes, "Bobby's always eating popcorn," which I don't think is true.
That's popcorn. And it leads away from here just like a trail.
Oh, and Bobby's always eating popcorn.
That's right, I'm sure it's a trail. Come on, honey, we're gonna find it.
I can't remember, but I don't think this was ever a pivotal piece of Bobby's character before these episodes. Like, I've seen him eating popcorn before, but I wouldn't say he's always eating it. If the trail was made of M&Ms or nuts or something, would they not have followed it? None of our kids really like nuts anyways. Wrong trail. Anyways, so the boys convince Professor Whitehead to untie them so they can help him look. We get some odd wordplay from Greg and the professor, which is somehow enough to make him realize that they were actually telling the truth about the idol being from Honolulu.
Well, I didn't mean exactly, Professor. I meant exactly in the exact location. Not the exact spot in the exact location, exactly. Understand?
Exactly.
You do?
Well, I now believe that you found the idol in Honolulu.
But rather than letting them go like he promised if they told the truth, he returns back to the tying them up and leaving them for dead plan.
So, there's only one thing to do.
Let us go?
Wrong. I have no choice.
Do we have a choice?
No. I'm gonna tie you up again and get out with my treasures. All right, now. Move, 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 move!
Greg and Bobby fight over which tiki is theirs.
Hey, this is my tiki. That's my tiki.
I want this tiki. Get over that tiki.
Oh, for goodness sake, take any tiki!
Like, I get that they're trying to do some light-hearted sibling banter, but it just seems like a really odd time for a group of boys who think that they're about to be left to die a slow and painful death while they succumb to the elements. The professor apologizes for scaring them and then says that he'll send someone to save them when he gets to the mainland. It seems a little stupid to walk into Honolulu and be like, "Hey, I kidnapped 3 kids. Can somebody go get them before they die?" So Mike and Carol arrive and are seemingly not concerned by this random old man with their children or the fact that they're tied up.
Mom! Dad!
Over here!
Oh, boys, are you all right?
Yeah, Laura. Glad you're here.
As the man laments his cave becoming a tourist attraction, Mike finally is like, "What the fuck are you doing, man?"
Oh, everybody knows about my secret cave. It's become a tourist attraction.
Listen, I don't know who you are or what you're doing, but you got a lot of explaining to do.
We don't actually get to see his explanation. We just fade into the professor apologizing for scaring his boys.
Yes, I suppose I do owe you that. And so, let me say once again how sorry I am that I frightened your boys, Mr. Brady.
Hey, buddy, you did a lot more than that, actually. You kind of did a lot of really horrific, punishable offenses. You tied them up and threatened to murder them with a spear multiple times. That's a bit more than frightening the boys. Mike is a little too kind to this guy who kidnapped his only sons. He promises to have not only him and his wife, but all of these traumatized children testify to the fact that Professor Whitehead was the one who discovered this cave for the first time, so he'll get credit for it.
Somehow, some way, somebody else would get the credit for it.
Well, not if you had 5 witnesses who would swear that you found it.
5 witnesses?
Me, my boys, and my wife.
Then I'd be assured of reporting a major archaeological find.
Right.
You do that for me?
Sure.
Even the professor's like, "You do that for me?" And I agree, because he kidnapped your children. Why are you offering him this? He should be in prison right now. He keeps talking to Oliver, and that is finally enough to make Mike realize that this is an unstable man.
That? I've done it. I've made a discovery of my very own. Me, Oliver, me. Oh, Oliver.
The boys and Carol come back from deep within the cave, and they say that they found the ancient tomb of kings and returned the tiki to its rightful spot. The curse is broken! Now the Bradys are back at the resort watching a traditional Hawaiian dance and ignoring the horrific trauma that the boys just went through. Wait, who's that cozied up next to Carol? Professor Whitehead. Why did they ever think to invite this man to hang out with them at their resort? He looks so angry about it too. Like, too angry for a man who just got away with kidnapping and threatening murder, got lauded for his architectural discoveries, and has now been invited to join a family vacation. A Hawaiian man leading the luau stands up and dedicates the luau to Professor Whitehead's great discovery.
Tonight, with this luau, we celebrate the illustrious Dr. Whitehead's amazing archaeological discoveries and his appointment as developer and curator of the museum's new Whitehead wing.
They named the wing of the museum that they're going to build after him rather than the location or the culture itself, which just seems a little odd. Like, he's not Lewis and Clark. He's a man eating beans alone in a cave and talking to a tiki. When the boys are applauding him, he kidnapped you. And did the Hawaiian people really not know about this burial site? Because it seems like at least 3 people did. So it wasn't really his discovery. Or are they all just so afraid of what this unhinged man is going to do if he once again does not get credit for his work? Then the man honors the Brady family for making the discovery possible. Are they going to get credit in the museum too, or are we just going to see Bobby 40 years from now pacing around a cave in an indigenous community, lamenting the fact that he didn't get credit for finding the tiki that started this in the first place? Is the museum also going to break down on one of their little plaques all the information about the kidnapping and the fear-mongering and the threatening of murder that Professor Whitehead did? No? Just the great architectural discovery? Okay.
We consider them kamaa'inas, old Hawaiian friends.
So the Bradys are now dubbed Old Hawaiian Friends, and they have to sound the horn of brotherhood.
He's a tenor!
It's crazy how often the Bradys, the whitest family in the world, continually get appointed to be honorary members of indigenous communities.
It's been a magnificent evening. Oliver would have loved it.
Seriously, this guy needs psychiatric help, not a luau. Carol tells Mike that this has been a marvelous occasion despite the fact that her children almost died on several occasions. And despite being honorary Hawaiians now, we are once again met with the Brady parents' cultural insensitivity as they continue to tell Bobby that the bad luck was all in their head, as though they didn't just spend a week watching horrific things happen to their family only to mysteriously stop when they returned the tiki.
Am I glad we're not taking that bad luck idol home with us?
Honey, that's not a bad luck idol.
Right, the bad luck is all in your head.
Bobby turns this perspective around on them when Mike breaks his sandal by saying, it was really good luck because his foot didn't get crushed too. What an arc this boy has gone through in his journey of cultural sensitivity.
You should put hot water down your drain if you haven't already.
Okay. The Bradys fly into the sky, and because they return the idol, the plane does not immediately crash and burn on the tarmac, killing them all in a fiery, painful death. The Brady Bunch still holds a special place in my heart, and I did really love these episodes as a kid, but it's really interesting to rewatch them with not only a 20th century perspective, but the mind of not an 8-year-old. And when I do this, I see all of the many, many ways it fails. The only real sense of reverence and like genuine respect that we see is for the Pearl Harbor site, which, don't get me wrong, deserves respect considering how many people died there, but it just really feels a little like pro-war propaganda. Pretty much everyone in the US at that time and this time, for the most part, respect the military, so it just seems like they chose like the easiest thing to treat with respect and just devoted like too much time and reverence to it. Part of me can't help but wonder if because this was during the point of the Vietnam War that people were starting to realize they had been supporting something that was inhumane and grisly, that this was a Hollywood way of kind of trying to bring back some of that patriotism. This episode could have been really educational and could have been a great way to foster some cultural sensitivity, but unfortunately, this was the 70s.
That's the way we all became the Brady Bunch. The Brady Bunch.